Hey, everybody, it's Adam the Bull, and this is the latest edition of the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. On today's program, we are going to talk about crazy baseball stats, an amazing baseball story. We'll have all the latest on Deshaun Watson, plus disappointment for me and some Caps fans when it comes to a trade that was made that didn't involve the Cavaliers. That's all coming up, plus a wild win for the Guardians, which I'll get to in just a minute, right here on the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Podcast is not for the faint of heart.
And I do think it's time for the Browns to move on.
It's not for those who ride the fence.
He's proven nothing.
But if you're looking for someone who tells it like it is about Cleveland sports,
everybody does fandom their way.
You've come to the right place.
I don't think he's any good.
It's time for the Bullpen with Adam the Bull.
Boom, ba-boom, bum, bum. The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. Yes, indeed. Here I am. And let me tell you something. What a game last night for the Cleveland Guardians. You know, the Guardians, as we talked about the last couple of days, have had an interesting season and not unexpected to some degree based on the young talent. They probably played way better than we would have expected for 3 weeks and change earlier this month. But you know, they had not been playing well for the last week or so. In fact, the Guardians had lost 6 of 7 heading into last night's game. And in the bottom half of the 10th inning, it looked like it was going to be 7 out of 8 and yet another loss to the Minnesota Twins, who they've struggled with in this series. The Twins were 2 outs and a 3-run lead away from increasing their lead over the Guardians in the Central to 4 games. And just like that, it turned around. First of all, major kudos to one Ahmed Rosario. Rosario had been awful. I mean, hideous for the first 2 months of the season. My mic is wanting to fall down on me here. He'd been just terrible for the first 2 months of the season. Hadn't done a thing. He has been on fire in the month of June, and it's really all come together here. The last week, he's been on fire in this series. His batting average over 290. He was hitting, I think, under 200 at the beginning of the month, if not that, low 200s. And last night, he goes 4 for 4 with a walk. So he got on base all 5 times. And let's go to the 10th inning. So first of all, we start in the top of the 10th. I basically jinxed Eli Morgan. Now, I don't really believe in jinxes, but I put out a tweet like a week or so ago about how awesome Elijah Morgan's been. I've been so high on this guy. And I'll be honest, part of it. Again, I said the be honest thing. I always say I hate when people say the be honest thing, and then I did it. But part of the reason I'm so excited about him, or I've been so excited about him, is because I got him on my fantasy team. You know, I'm in a really deep league, 16 teams. We draft 1 million players, so you start some good middle relievers, and he's been great. So he's been awesome, and ever since I went nuts about him a week or so ago, he has struggled. He's given up runs now, I think 3 appearances in a row, 4 out of 5, something like that. And he struggled again last night. So we go to the 10th. He comes in. It's a 3-3 game. Now, remember, the Guardians had blown the lead earlier. They took the lead early in the game, 2 in the first, 1 in the third. Twins tied up in the 6th. Our old buddy Gio Urshela, who has killed the Guardians. It's the home run, and it's a tie game in the 6th, right? Okay, so a couple of chances leading up to it. And then we go, but it goes to extra innings. So it's 3-3 game in the top of the 10th. And you hope that you can get a scoreless inning, but at the very least, you want to give up only 1 run because, you're starting with a runner on second. It puts you in a tough spot. And so Eli Morgan comes in. The inning starts with Luis. So Byron Buxton is the runner at second. And so Buxton, real smart play. As Luis Arise hits an opposite field foul out. Richie Palacios made a great play, catching it right on the net, but Buxton's able to tag up and go to third. I think Palacios really wasn't thinking about it. I don't think he would have thrown him out anyway, but it doesn't matter. So Carlos Correa comes up to, so it's 1 out runner on third. Correa comes up to pinch hit, has a great bat against Morgan, and comes through with a single to right. So it's a 4-3 game, but you feel like, okay, you hold him here, you're all right. Polanco strikes out, great at bat from Morgan there. And then Max Kepler, another guy who has really hit the Guardians well over the years, hits a big 2-run bomb to right center field. It's 6-3, and you're thinking, okay, well, they're not going to win now. And the Twins go to their closer, Pagan. Now, Duran, who had pitched the 9th inning, throws really hard. He is their closer of the future, but they've stuck with Pagan, and Pagan has not pitched well against the Guardians. The Guardians obviously get the runner on second to start the inning. Owen Miller grounds out. So now you're runner on second, 1 out. You can't be feeling great about it. Palacios does move on a wild pitch. But then on a 3-2 pitch, Stephen Kwan draws a walk. Close pitch. Pagan doesn't get the call, and that put the tying run at the plate with Ahmed Rosario. So I think something to keep in mind here is that I thought Pagan kind of lost focus in the bottom of the 10th after he walks Kwan. He was kind of annoyed at the call. He was frustrated with the umpire, and you wonder if that factors in. And then Rosario comes up. I started the show talking about the guy's just been red hot. I mean, he couldn't get a hit for 2 months, and now you can't get him out. And so he just lays a cookie out there for Rosario, who rips it down the left field line. Palacios scores. Kwan goes to third. Okay, 6-4. They take Pagan out. They go to Jarrell Cotton, which I don't really get that move. I mean, Pagan's been your closer, but maybe they just really felt like he lost his focus, as I said. I don't know. You think they'd have a better arm than Cotton out there. He's never impressed me. He's kind of been a journeyman that's bounced from team to team. Now, here was an interesting situation. Second and third, 1 out, Jose Ramirez up. Now, to me, I thought it was a no-brainer to walk Ramirez. He's your best hitter. I know he's in a little bit of a slump, but I don't care. I'd walk Ramirez in that situation every time. Rick Manning was saying the same thing on the TV broadcast. They pointed out, obviously, that if you walk him, it puts the winning run on base. And it worked out in the moment because they got him out. Now, Ramirez hit a ball that you thought off the bat might drop. But Buxton, again, who's a great athlete out there, makes a great running catch. So it's 2 outs. So they got away with not pitching to him. And then, pass ball allows the run to score. It's now 6-5, although that didn't matter because I can't remember if it was the next pitch or 1 or 2 pitches later. Josh Naylor goes opposite field, hits the home run to left, and it was a bomb. He goes bananas, throws the helmet a mile high. They're going crazy at home plate. That's a great win. I mean, to score 4 in the bottom of the 10th, and, when Ramirez, your best hitter, doesn't come through in that situation, you're thinking the wind's out of the balloon. But Naylor to go opposite field, he's had a really good year. Now, listen, again, when it comes to their lineup, I'm still very concerned about their lack of power. I mean, they don't really have many guys with double-digit home runs. Naylor, for him, was the 9th. But he's done a nice job, and he's overall played well this year. And they've, and obviously Rosario we talked about. So big 7-6 win. Instead of being 4 out, they're 2 out. And now they've won 2 of 3. And now they have a chance to still win this series against the Twins. It looked like it was going to be Twins 3 out of 4 with the 5th game coming up tomorrow, or this afternoon, I should say. But it didn't go that way. The Guardians find a way. They get it done. Great win. Now, it goes, in the last couple of days, I've talked a little bit about changing some rules for baseball. Well, I'd also like to change some stats for baseball. The win stat is so absurd. First of all, it's not in a lot of cases, not every case. A guy starts and goes 9 innings and pitches a shutout, and you win 3-0. He gets the win. No, it's a well-deserved win. But quite often, guy pitches great, but his team blows it, and he doesn't get a win, or vice versa. The guy pitches terribly, whatever. In this case, who gets the win last night? Eli Morgan. He gave up 3 runs, 2 earned in an inning. It's just pitiful. It's just silly if you think about it. Now, a game like last night, I don't know who you'd give the win to. I guess my theory would be you let the official scorer pick it. I mean, there's not an easy answer in this game in particular, like who the win would go to. But I'd probably give it to Quantrill. He pitched 8 innings these days. That's amazing. And he only gave up 3 runs. That's a really good start. And that brings me to another stat. I hate quality start. Whereas like Quantrill, yeah, it's a quality start. 3 runs in 8 innings. It's a good start. That's really good. And I'd be much happier with him or Clase getting the win and not Morgan, who's the worst pitcher of the 3 Guardians last night. But I just hate the quality win stat because I was talking about this with Len Barker on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday. We had Len Barker, of course, pitch the last Guardians, perfect game and no-hitter. It was a perfect game over 40 years ago. And he hates the quality because 6 innings, 3 runs should not be a quality start. That's not a quality start. You have a 4.50 ERA if you do that every game. So that's terrible. But great win by the Guardians. We'll see if they can end up winning the series. And then they stay home for the big weekend with the Yankees. This weekend's going to be a lot of fun with the Yankees in town. We had a small crowd last night. I guess it's not going to be a big crowd against Minnesota this afternoon. But it should be some big crowds against the Yankees. One other thing on baseball I wanted to hit on before we get to take a break and get to Deshaun Watson. Really cool story out of Philadelphia last night. Former number 1 overall pick Mark Appel, a month shy of his 31st birthday, made his major league debut, pitched a scoreless 9th inning for the Phillies. At 30 years, 349 days, Appel, whose baseball career included a 3-year absence for the sport, is the oldest ever former top overall pick from the June draft, which has been going on since 1965, at the time of his MLB debut. Didn't give up a run, 1 hit, 1 K. You may remember, if you're a really big baseball nerd like me, Appel was drafted 1st overall by the Astros in 2013. He was a disaster in the minors, didn't pitch well. Got traded to Philadelphia in 2015, had a lot of injuries, was awful, couldn't get anybody out. He left baseball in 2018, came back in 2021. He pitched very well for the Phillies in AA and AAA this year. And again, by about 250 days, becomes the oldest 1st overall pick to make his debut. The only one that's even close is Matt Bush, who's still pitching for the Texas Rangers, who was the 1st overall pick as a hitter, if I remember correctly. And then I believe he had drug problems and eventually came back as a pitcher. But incredible story. Good for Mark Appel. That's a really tremendous accomplishment. All right. We still got a lot to do coming up later. I'm going to get into my disappointment from a big trade in the NBA yesterday. But when I come back, Deshaun Watson, day 2 over. Today is day 3 of his hearings, and it may not be over, and we may not get the word. And we've been waiting for a while now, but we're going to have to wait longer. I know a lot of us thought we would get the resolution this weekend, but it doesn't appear that that's going to happen. I guess things could change, but, we shall see. All right, take a break, come back with more right after this. It's the Bullpen with Adam the Bull. And let me talk to you right now about Built Bar. And specifically about the Coconut Brownie Chunk Puff. The Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Bar, flavor that you love, in a deliciously chewy marshmallow covered in 100% real chocolate. If you love marshmallow and you love chocolate, well, you're going to love the Coconut Brownie Chunk from Built Bar. It's amazing. Coconut Brownie Chunk Puffs are only here for a limited time, so go to Built.com now to make sure you don't miss out. They're going fast because they taste amazing. Delicious coconut, rich sweet brownie, creamy marshmallow. Stop fantasizing. Get to Built.com to order your box of Coconut Brownie Chunk Built Puffs right now. What are you waiting for? I know what you're waiting for. You're waiting for this. Go to Built.com, Built.com. Use the promo code LOCKED15. That's LOCKED 15 and get 15% off your order. So great, delicious food with a nice discount. You go to Built.com, use the promo LOCKED15. All right, we are back. And it's time to talk about Deshaun Watson. We talk about Deshaun Watson every day. He is the quarterback of the Cleveland Browns. And for any Browns fan, it's worthy of talking about every day. Why? Because if Deshaun Watson plays the season, the Browns will have a very good chance to get to the playoffs. Certainly if he played a full season, which is unlikely. Even if he plays 9 games, they have the best chance they're going to have to make the playoffs. And if you get to the playoffs with Deshaun Watson, you have a very reasonable chance to win a Super Bowl. You have one of the elite quarterbacks, you're gonna have an opportunity. And if you don't, you don't. If Jacoby Brissett plays the whole season, or Jimmy Garoppolo or Sam Darnold, the Browns probably won't make the playoffs and certainly won't win a Super Bowl, even with Baker Mayfield, which is not going to happen. So that's why we hold our breath every day. That's why we follow the headlines every day. That's why you watch and listen to me every day. Watch the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show every day. So we give you the latest. And as of now, today is the 3rd day of hearings. What's going to come out of today? The first 2 days, there hasn't been much that's come out of it. Apparently, the judge, Sue Robinson, there's been everything's reports, right? We don't know. But apparently Sue Robinson, the report was today that she's been frustrated by the fact that there's been so many leaks about this situation. What that means, who knows? All we do is speculate on this story. It's frustrating. We all want this to come to some sort of resolution. But, as much as we, as people that are uninvolved in this situation on a personal level, it means a lot to us as football fans. But on a personal level, we're uninvolved. This is people's lives, whether it's Deshaun Watson or the women or the lawyers involved, but especially the women and Deshaun Watson. We're getting conflicting stories, obviously. One, Deshaun Watson says he's done nothing wrong. The women say he has done something wrong. We don't know what the absolute truth is. It's easy to assume someone's guilty when this many people have said you're guilty, but he hasn't been proven guilty. They were unable to get charges against him from a grand jury, 2 grand juries in Texas. So, and I don't want to debate the merits of the case or not, because that's been done to death. But I think, or at least I don't think we know anything, but it's starting to feel as if this thing is going to keep going. I know that many of us hoped there would be a resolution by this weekend. There's been a lot of speculation that the decision would come out Friday, going into a holiday weekend, to try to, not make it as big a deal. I don't know. It's going to be a big deal whenever it comes out. That's silly, I guess. But the next deadline is going to be training camp. Now, for the 4 cases, I think it's 4 cases that are still unsettled between Deshaun Watson and the remaining women that did not settle with him. Discovery is due by tomorrow. Actually, by today, right? Is today the 30th? Yes, it is. Today is the last day of June. 30 days has September, April, June, and November. Yes, so today is the last day of June. So today is the Discovery Day. So that's going to be popping up today, too. So we'll keep an eye on that. Or will we see, meanwhile, while this is going on, we might still possibly, I guess, see other settlements between Watson and the final 4 women. So it continues to hang in the balance. We continue to hold our breath and wait. And there's a huge difference, right? If he's suspended for the season, that's a short-term disaster. Well, I mean, you could say it's a disaster for the Browns, not necessarily forever. In fact, as I said, I think I said it yesterday on the podcast. I know I said it yesterday on the show, on Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show. I would have still, even if I knew Watson was going to be suspended for the year, I would have still made the trade. Now I would have tried to have given up a little less, and they probably could have given up a little less to get him. But ultimately, I would, even if I knew he was going to miss the whole season, I would have still traded for Watson, because I still got him for a minimum of 5 years if he's suspended for the season, and probably longer than that. He's probably got 10 good years of football, or at least 8 good years of football in him. He's an elite quarterback. I would still do it. But for the short term, if you want to say a season is short term, it's a disaster. There's no doubt that happens. Even if he's suspended within the season, there's huge differences here. Whether he's suspended 4 games or 6 games or 8 games. Because think about this. The first 4 games are all against teams we expect to be 500 or worse. Probably the best team they play in those first 4 is Pittsburgh. So Jacoby Brissett, even Jacoby Brissett would have a very good chance of going at least 2-2, if not 3-1 or better in their first 4 games. Then things get a little tougher. Games 5 and 6, they play the Chargers and the Patriots. Chargers, good team that missed the playoffs. Patriots, a decent team that missed the playoffs. If it's 6 games, you still feel like you could go at least 3-3. But those next 2 games, games 7 and 8, that's when the schedule really picks up. And there's been a lot of talk of 6 games or 8 games. In fact, there was a report, I can't remember now, I think it was Tuesday. There was a report that said if the league, supposedly the league, if she put a suspension, Sue Robinson gave Watson a suspension or recommended a 6 to 8 game suspension, that they wouldn't appeal. Well, there's a big difference between 6 and 8. Again, at this point, if Watson only gets suspended for 8 games, I think most fans would sign for that right now. But the difference between 6 and 8 is huge. Because if you ask me right now, let's say the Browns go 3-3 in the first 6 games, and then Watson comes back. They got it. You would think against games 7 and 8 are the Ravens and the Bengals. So those 2 games are very tough games, and they are unlikely to win those games with Jacoby Brissett. They probably go 0-2 with Jacoby Brissett in those games. Whereas with Watson, they're toss-ups, and they're probably favored against the Bengals because they're at home. And it's a huge difference. I mean, think about that game in Baltimore, like right now. If Jacoby Brissett's playing, you're probably a touchdown underdog. If Watson's playing, you're at most a 3-point dog, and maybe it's even a pick 'em, or less than 3 and pick 'em. Again, it depends how the teams were playing at the time, but it'd probably be more. They'd probably be a bigger dog if Jacoby Brissett, because there's probably almost a touchdown difference between the 2. And without Brissett, you're probably a 3-point dog to the Bengals at home. With Watson, you're at least a 3-point favorite, probably a 3-point favorite. So it's just about a 6-7 point difference, whether it's Brissett or Deshaun Watson. This is going to be huge. We'll continue to keep our eye on it. When we come back, we'll wrap things up here in the bullpen with heartbreaking news, at least for me, when I got home from the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show yesterday, when it comes to a guy I've been dying to get, and I talked about it on the podcast yesterday for the Cleveland Cavaliers. That is coming up next, right here in the bullpen with Adam the Bull. First, folks, I got to tell you about betonline.net. If you're not using it, I don't know what you're doing. It's your #1 source for all your betting needs and sports info. BetOnline is your continued source for all your sports wagering information, including live betting, esports, and scores. And betonline.net remains the best spot for all your sports scores, podcasts, and news this season. Doesn't matter what sport you're into. Baseball, football, basketball, hockey, MMA, boxing, golf. They have got you covered. Head to the website today or use your mobile device to learn more about the trends and the action. I love BetOnline. You will love BetOnline. Everybody loves BetOnline. Don't go anywhere else. BetOnline, where the game starts. All right. And down the stretch we come. Let's talk some hoops. So yesterday was a very interesting day in the NBA. That was like an Adam Sandler rhyme. Yesterday was a big day in the NBA. So if you've been following me at all on the podcast, on Twitter, on the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show, even going back to the radio show, which seems so long ago now. It's been almost 3 months since I've been off the radio show. Hard to believe. But I have been advocating for the Cavs trying to trade for DeJounte Murray for a while. And for the longest time, people said, Cavs don't have enough to give, don't have enough to give. And then he gets traded today to the Hawks for 3 draft picks, essentially, and an expiring contract. And now everybody said today, well, they don't have the draft picks because they got to give that pick to Indiana for a trade that I thought, at the time, you loved. But unfortunately, it hasn't worked out great. Karis LeVert didn't really fit in great last year. He struggled. He's dealt with injuries. And I like the trade at the time. I'm not going to be a hypocrite now, but it would have been nice. Now, who knows? Maybe the Cavs wouldn't have done it anyway. But had they not made the Karis LeVert trade, they would have been able to match that trade offer from the Hawks in theory. Now, again, maybe they were not interested. I know my buddy Chris Fedor says, well, DeJounte Murray's not really the perfect fit. They're looking more for a 3, and DeJounte Murray's not a 3. I get it, but all I know is DeJounte Murray, we've talked about this time and time again, he does everything well. Ultimately, I was disappointed. But what really bothered me on top of that was there was a number of fans when I said I was bummed that the Cavs didn't end up getting DeJounte Murray. There were a number of fans who responded to my tweet about it and were like, we got our big 3. We don't need him. We don't. Like, what are you talking about? Listen, I've had nothing but good things to say about the Cavs' big 3. I love all 3 guys. Not a single bad thing to say about any of them. But they haven't won a playoff game yet. So don't tell me you can't get better. I understand they're younger and they will get better. Obviously, Evan Mobley has a lot of room for growth. And Darius Garland, who took a huge step forward last season, can still get better. I think Jared Allen is what he is, and that's really good. I don't know that he's going to get any better. Maybe he can. But if you have a chance to get another all-star caliber player, DeJounte Murray was an all-star last year, even though he was on a bad team. So he said, well, he's an inefficient shooter. Oh, well, when you're on a bad team, sometimes you're going to be inefficient. He's not a selfish player. It's not like he's a chucker. Colin Sexton wasn't the most efficient shooter. And he doesn't do, and I don't mean to, I'm not hating on Colin Sexton. He's a nice player. But he's not DeJounte Murray. DeJounte Murray is a better passer, a better rebounder, a better defender. So anyway, I got to let the dream die. He's gone to Atlanta. That's a huge trade for them because in terms of they gave up a lot of draft picks, but who cares? You're trying to win. People are obsessed with draft picks. I don't give a crap about draft picks. I want to win. Draft picks are for losers. Championships are for winners. And the Cavs would have had a better chance to win a championship with DeJounte Murray. But okay, that ship has sailed. No point in continuing to talk about it. I'm going to drop the name. But I think the Cavs do need to continue to just be aggressive. I hope that when the season starts, that the only significant pieces are not the draft picks. Because I don't think, a mid-first round pick and a bunch of second-round picks is going to make that big a difference this year. Now, maybe I'm wrong, but I think the Cavs got to try to, this idea that a few people said to me today, well, they're going to try to save that cap space for LeBron. I mean, come on, listen, if the Cavs can get LeBron, fantastic. There's always a way to make it work with the cap. I don't believe you can't, the Cavs can't spend this next season hoping that LeBron comes back at whatever the hell age he's going to be. First of all, we don't know if he's going to want to come back again. That's just not. I know the last time he came back and they were doing some of that, but they were a terrible team. They've got 3 cornerstone pieces. They can't wait for LeBron to come back. They've got to improve this team now if they can. And I hope Kobe Altman, who overall has been aggressive, made a lot of good moves. He's done overall an excellent job in the draft, especially the last 2 years, well, the last 3 years, I should say. He's done a great job. But I think there's way too many fans right now that are content with this team being the same team next year that are saying, well, our guys got hurt and blah, blah, blah. And listen, I got as carried away early in the season as anyone. I was like, they're going to go on a run in the playoffs. But come on. I mean, there's a lot of tough teams out there that are as, deeper than the Cavs and have the frontline talent as well, and they have much more experience, and they've won playoff games. They've gone deep into the playoffs. I can't just ride again as much as I like this team. And I think just naturally they will make progress. I think they'll win playoff games next year. Hopefully they'll win a playoff series. I think they, depending on who they play, I think they got a good chance of that. But that's not a guarantee. You got to always be trying to get better. You never want to stand pat and just add rookies. Right now, the Cavs are a pretty good team. But you can't win in the NBA. You can't win a championship with a pretty good team. You've got to keep trying to get better, and you don't just get better with mid-first round picks and second-round picks. So hopefully Kobe Altman, if not an ace in the hole, has at least got a king or queen. All right, folks. It's been a lot of fun, as always. Hope you've enjoyed episode 4 of The Bullpen with Adam the Bull. You can always watch it on YouTube, or you can listen on Spotify or Apple Podcasts. Please sign up, subscribe, whatever it's called. I don't know. I'm a little lost with the terminology sometimes. I'm enjoying doing these podcasts. So far this week, it's only been just me talking to you, and that'll be the case again on Friday. I am lining up some interviews for a lot of the shows in July. I know Aditi Kinkabwala will be on with me at some point, and I'll put one out on 4th of July. You'll have me here. Even when I'm going on vacation in a couple of months, and I'm gonna put some episodes out even on vacation. So I'm gonna try to put one of these out every weekday. Maybe there'll be exceptions here or there if I'm sick or something. I don't know, but for the most part, even if it's a holiday, I'm gonna try to put one of these out. I'm having a ball. I hope you're enjoying. Thank you for listening. Thank you for watching, and thank you for watching the Ultimate Cleveland Sports Show as well. I know we had some technical glitches on Wednesday's show, but you stuck with us. Thank you. It's only really the first time that's happened, first or second. We're having a ball on that show. I'm having a ball on this show. Did my first Cameo video yesterday. Check me out on Cameo. If you want me to make, I'd send some birthday wishes to some people yesterday. I'm loving life right now. I'm free and easy. All right, I'll see you tomorrow right here on The Bullpen with Adam the Bull.